Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Andrew. Today I'm continuing my series all about religion. I have been talking about the morality or lack thereof in the church so far, and this is the last one I'm doing in the modern era. If you've watched my others, I'm guessing you can guess what this one is. You've probably seen the title of the video too. So, all about the molestation of children in the church and the subsequent cover-up. Before we get into that though, I do want to say that your beliefs are your beliefs, and I respect your right to have those beliefs, just as I hope you respect my right to have mine. I'm not trying to change your mind with anything I'm saying here. I'm just saying and sharing what I believe. I have no problem with you no matter what you believe, whether you believe in a God, whether you don't believe in a God, whether you believe in many gods. I respect you on the same level no matter what. I only have a problem when someone tries to tell me what I should believe because they believe it or because they say so, which unfortunately happens a lot on all sides of this issue. I'm going to try to release this video as is, without using any cute language to try and get around the whole issue of what this video content is about. If it gets removed at any point, I will refilm it with said cute language, but I want to just try and say it as it is, because honestly I think that's the best way to deal with this. It is unfortunately a little bit of graphic content. I'm not going to get into it what the priests exactly did to children, but or anything like that. But this whole issue is just horrific on its own. So I'm going to try with regular language to do this, and like I said, if YouTube tries to take it down or anything, I might re-edit it and just post it back up. We'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see. I know this isn't going to get monetized, but nothing on my channel will get monetized anyway, so that doesn't really bother me. Alright, so first of all, unfortunately, there is the information about like the amount of cases, the amount of priests who have done this is unreliable. I've been doing a lot of research over the last few days because I knew that there were going to be a lot of numbers and stuff like that, and what I learned is just that the numbers suck, essentially. Some of that is due to suppression and pressure from the church. Some of that is that not everyone will come forward to tell their story, and fair enough, it's up to them whether they choose to or not. And unfortunately, it's a lot of guesswork, and the amount of effort to actually figure out how many children were molested and raped within the church, the effort varies from country to country. So here's what we do know. Most of the accusations fall between the 1950s and to 2020, but it for sure happened earlier than that, and I'm guessing, unfortunately, it's still happening now. I'll get into that a little bit later as to why I think that. Unfortunately, it is only, for the most part, accusations. Very few priests or employees of the church were ever charged or tried for anything, and now, because of statutes of limitations, a lot of them can no longer be charged, and so that has prevented these monsters from ever going to jail. Now, we don't know how many children were molested worldwide, but that number has to be close, if not over a million. Which you would think seems like a lot, but in France alone, the amount of children molested is anywhere between 200,000 to 350,000, depending on whose estimates you're looking at. So that's just one country, and that's 250,000. So it's got to be over a million. It could be millions. We don't know. Approximately 20% of victims are female and 80% are male, and that works out fairly the same worldwide. Interesting point here. I thought homosexuality was a sin, but I guess it doesn't count if it's a priest and a kid. Weird, crazy, but that gay person is a horrible person. But a priest doing it to a child, no, that's fine. Don't worry about it. At least that's the church position, or what it seems like the church position. So multiple former priests have come out and admitted they've molested children. Some of them over 100 children each, spanning over 50 years. And I'm going to give a couple different examples of things that I found from different countries. By the way, when I researched this topic, I thought I knew how bad this was worldwide. I just got so angry and so depressed researching this, because the numbers are staggering. But anyway, I'm gonna go into a couple different examples from a couple different countries around the world. So I mentioned already in France that they estimate between 200 and 350,000 children were molested. They were molested by approximately 3,000 priests, nuns, and others who worked for the church over the last 70 years. And they think of that 3,000, approximately 2,100 of those were priests. So at least 2,100 priests in France alone, remember this is just France, in France alone were molesting children over the last 70 years. How disgusting is that? In Australia, a very interesting 4,444 people alleged abuse claims against the Catholic Church. Now, that number is probably a little low. Those are the people that actually alleged it. And those are just claims that went to the Catholic Church. So we don't know if that there have been other claims made outside of the church to police, for instance. That wasn't included in that number. But those 4,444 individual people made claims to the church about the church. And it works out that 7% of all the priests in Australia were molesting children since between the 1950s and 2020. So that's disgusting, and this is such a widespread problem. And I know 7% sounds like a little bit, but when you think about just how many priests that is worldwide, and it happened worldwide, like they're essentially every country that allows the Catholic Church has issues and accusations against the church in that country. This was a systemic worldwide issue. But next we move into Germany. So in June of 2021, the top German bishop, Reinhard Marx, offered to resign over the church's institutional and systematic failure in handling these sexual abuse cases just in the city of Cologne. Pope Francis rejected his offer, but in that city alone, just in Cologne, 314 minors, mostly boys, again, under the age of 14 were sexually abused between 1975 and 2018. That was one city alone. Now, in a study of all of Germany, it was found that 1,670 clergymen had committed some type of sexual attack against 3,677 minors, again, mostly boys under 13, between 1946 and 2014. But this study also admits that this is certainly an underestimate and there are way more cases probably. Going to the US next. In 2002, the Boston Globe revealed in articles the massive scale of sexual abuse in the Boston Diocese and the efforts that the Catholic Church took to cover it up. If you haven't watched the movie Spotlight, this is exactly what that movie covers. So I suggest that you watch it. Forgive me if you can hear noise in the background. There are a lot of people in the hallway of the apartment right now. So if you hear that, just ignore it and we'll keep going. So yeah, so that's what Spotlight covered, and I do recommend that you watch that movie if you haven't. It's a very important movie. More than 11,000 complaints have been lodged in the U.S. by victims of priests, and those are just victims of priests. Priests in the church were not the only people molesting children. Nuns have been accused, other clergy. Like I said, this is very widespread, and dioceses have paid out hundreds of millions of dollars in out-of-court settlements, which has essentially allowed the church to escape justice, which I'll get to more on later. In the Pennsylvania diocese alone, a grand jury investigated in 2018 and exposed a systematic cover-up of the church of over 300 predator priests, and more than 1,000 children victims were cited in that investigation, and that's just the Pennsylvania diocese. Pope Francis defrocked former American Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, which is the first time a cardinal has ever been defrocked, based on his actions in covering up and also with allegations of molestation himself. I will talk more on defrocking a little later and explain exactly what that means, so hold on for that. And several dioceses in the U.S. have since opened their archives, and they've revealed that hundreds of priests in each diocese have been suspecting of abusing minors in almost every U.S. diocese. So this is widespread, this is ridiculous, and they absolutely did nothing about it. Now, a while ago, probably like 5 years ago or something like that now, maybe even 6 years ago, I watched a video on YouTube. I tried to find it again. I was actually going to react to it with you guys, but unfortunately I couldn't find that exact video. It either got taken down by YouTube or it either got taken down by YouTube or taken down by the creator of the content. But basically, it circled around a priest who ran a school/care center for children who were deaf and or blind. So they were either deaf, blind, or both. Now the priest who ran the school had multiple accusations of molestation against him when he was moved there, and they found him. A journalist found him years later on his deathbed in a hospice and secretly filmed a conversation with him, and basically that video was what was covered in the YouTube video. And this dying priest recounted these times, these good times as he called it. He was now. I don't know where his mental status was. I will say that. I don't know where the priest's mental status was. Because that will affect how you react to certain things. But in the video, he was almost giddy, recounting that he could do whatever he wanted to these children, and they couldn't do anything about it. But he said, but that was the norm back then, and that was okay. He also recounted that he brought other priests and other members of the church to the school to have fun with these kids too. Yeah, fun. And again, he said, well, it was okay. It was that's what you did back then. It was totally normal back then. And you know what? Actually, it probably was. It probably was, and that's the problem. Interestingly enough, I tried to get my ex to watch this video. She's a devout Catholic. If you watched my other video about discussing religion, and she refused to watch this video. I think personally she was afraid that it would crush her beliefs in her church, and so she didn't want to watch something like this. I think watching something like this, whether you're afraid it will crush your views or not, really your views, to me, don't matter. Like this is far worse. This is something else. And it was like, I have never been as angry as I was after watching that video. Like it was the most disgusting thing I'd ever seen. And it was just the guy talking about the good times of molesting children. Yeah. Incidentally, after that video came out, the church, in fear of this gentleman's life, although he was dying anyway, moved him to a secret location. Didn't do anything to deal with his claims or anything. They just moved him to a secret location to protect him, which is, well, something they did a lot of.